Alex stared out from the window of his ship as the stars zoomed past. He had been on this routine space mission for weeks now, traveling through deep space, exploring planets no one had ever seen. It was a lonely job, but Alex didn't mind. The silence of space gave him peace. He was just a regular pilot doing his job. The hum of the ship's engine was the only sound when suddenly, without warning, the ship jolted violently. Alex's stomach dropped as alarms began to blare, and the control panel lit up with warnings. "What the?" Alex muttered, gripping the controls. His fingers raced across the dashboard, trying to stabilize the ship. But it was too late. The ship spun out of control, tumbling through the emptiness of space. The bright stars outside blurred into a streak of light as the ship crashed toward an unknown planet below. A few moments later, Alex groggily opened his eyes. His head ached from the sudden impact, and the sound of the alarms was still ringing in his ears. He quickly unbuckled his seatbelt and checked himself over. Luckily, he was still in one piece. "Think, Alex, think," he muttered to himself. He glanced around the cockpit. The control panel was damaged beyond repair, and the ship was tilted at an odd angle. There was no chance of getting back into space with this wreck. His mind raced as he scanned the outside through the cracked window. The planet below was alien, surrounded by thick clouds and an eerie glowing green mist. It was unlike any world he had ever seen. "Great," he sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Well, I'm stuck here now." After gathering what little gear he could find, Alex exited the ship. His boots crunched on the rocky surface of the planet as he stepped into the unknown. The air smelled strange, stale, almost like metal, mixed with the scent of wet earth. He pulled up the hood of his jacket and started walking, hoping to find shelter or something that could help him fix his ship. As he moved through the strange, dark landscape, something caught his eye. In the distance, a figure stood motionless in the mist. At first, Alex thought it was a mirage, but as he approached, it became clear. It was an alien. The creature was unlike anything Alex had ever seen. It stood tall, with smooth, shimmering skin that seemed to change colors with every step. Its eyes were large and glowing, and it had no mouth. The alien's body was slender but strong, and it wore strange, tattered clothing that seemed to be made of woven materials Alex couldn't recognize. But what struck Alex the most were the two figures beside the alien. A small child no more than 6 or 7 years old clung to the alien's side. The child was similarly alien in appearance, with the same glowing eyes and smooth skin, but much smaller and fragile. The alien mother seemed to be protecting the child, her arms wrapped tightly around them as if shielding them from something. "Hello?" Alex called out, unsure of what to say. The alien mother looked up, her glowing eyes locking onto his. There was a flicker of recognition in her gaze, followed by a quick, almost unnoticeable glance toward the child. Alex froze. Something wasn't right. The air around him grew thick with tension. The alien mother looked panicked, and the child seemed to be trembling in her arms. It was as if they were afraid of something or someone. He took a cautious step forward. "Are you okay?" he asked, his voice soft. The words felt awkward, but he didn't know what else to say. To his surprise, the alien mother nodded slowly, though her expression remained tense. She didn't speak, but Alex could see the fear in her eyes. The child looked up at him, their face full of curiosity but also fear. Alex's heart softened. Despite the strange appearance, they seemed just like any mother trying to protect her child. "I'm not here to hurt you," Alex said gently, keeping his distance. "I'm stranded here. My ship crashed. Can I help you in any way?" The alien mother didn't answer. Instead, she turned her head, looking around quickly, her eyes darting in every direction. Alex followed her gaze. In the distance, he thought he saw shadows moving between the rocks. He couldn't make them out clearly, but something about the way the alien mother reacted told him they weren't alone. Alex's instincts kicked in. He took another step closer, slowly, trying not to spook them. "It's okay. You're not alone. I'll help." The alien mother seemed to relax slightly at his words. She shifted her weight, and with a strange fluid motion, she carefully set the child down. The child's eyes never left Alex's face, but they didn't retreat either. The mother reached down to the child, whispering something in a language Alex couldn't understand. The tension was thick, and Alex could feel the danger closing in. Whatever was happening here, he knew one thing for sure. He couldn't leave them. He had no idea why he felt this way, but something deep inside told him that this moment, this encounter, was not by chance. The child took a hesitant step forward, and Alex reached out his hand slowly, offering a sign of trust. He had no idea what was coming next, but he couldn't just leave them in this strange, dangerous world alone. Suddenly, a distant howl pierced the air. The alien mother's head snapped up, her eyes wide with terror. The child recoiled into her arms, and Alex's heart raced. Whatever was out there was coming for them, and fast. Without thinking, Alex grabbed the child's hand and the mother's arm. "We need to move now." They started running, the sound of footsteps and howls growing louder as shadows darted in and out of the mist. Alex had no idea what he had just stepped into, but he knew one thing. He wasn't leaving these two alone. Not now. The wind howled around Alex as he pulled the alien mother and her child through the thick, misty air. The shadows of something or someone lurking behind them pushed him to run faster. The ground beneath his boots was uneven, but he couldn't stop now. He could feel the urgency in the alien mother's grip, the way she pulled her child close to her, almost as if she was afraid to let go. But what could she be afraid of? What was hunting them? Alex's mind raced, trying to make sense of everything that had happened so far. He had never imagined he would find himself in a situation like this, stranded on an alien planet with creatures from another world, trying to protect them from something unknown. Yet here he was, running for his life. The mother moved swiftly, her feet barely touching the ground as if she was gliding across the rough terrain. The child, however, was slower, stumbling over rocks and roots. Alex reached out and gently helped the child, guiding them through the dense forest. "It's okay," Alex murmured, trying to comfort the child. "I won't let anything happen to you." The child looked up at him, their large, glowing eyes full of uncertainty. For a moment they seemed to hesitate, unsure whether to trust him. Alex could see the fear in their face, and it broke his heart. How could he explain that he meant no harm? That he just wanted to help? The alien mother glanced at Alex. Her eyes filled with silent gratitude, but also a deep sadness. She knew something Alex didn't, something that had brought them to this dangerous place. Her gaze shifted to the child and then back to Alex as if weighing her options. They came to a sudden halt in front of a massive ancient tree. Its trunk was twisted and thick, with strange glowing symbols etched into its bark. The air around them felt different here, more alive, and Alex could feel a strange energy vibrating through the ground. The alien mother crouched down beside the tree, resting against its base, and gently lowered the child to the ground. The child immediately curled into a ball, their tiny body trembling. Alex knelt beside them, offering what little comfort he could. "I don't know what's going on," Alex admitted, his voice quiet. "But I'll help you. I promise." The alien mother, still standing, looked at Alex with a mixture of caution and hope. She seemed to be considering something, and then, to Alex's surprise, she slowly reached out toward him as if offering her trust. Her hand was different from a human's, long, delicate fingers almost translucent with a faint glow at the tips. She gently placed her hand on his shoulder, her touch cool but reassuring. Alex looked up at her, not sure what to say. Was this their way of saying thank you? Or was there something more to it? Whatever it was, he felt a strange connection to these beings even though he didn't fully understand them. They were so different from humans, yet they were struggling with something that was all too familiar: fear, loss, and the desire to protect those they loved. Just then, a soft, melodic hum filled the air. Alex turned toward the sound, his heart racing. The child had begun to glow faintly, their small body radiating a soft light. Alex stepped back, surprised as the light grew brighter, and the air around them seemed to thrum with energy. The alien mother immediately moved closer to her child, her eyes wide with concern. The child's glowing intensified, and for a moment Alex thought the light might blind him. But then, as suddenly as it had appeared, the glow faded, leaving only a faint warmth in the air. The child opened their eyes, looking up at Alex with a mix of wonder and exhaustion. The alien mother gently stroked the child's head, whispering something in a language Alex couldn't understand, but the tone of her voice was soothing, and Alex could tell she was comforting her child. "What was that?" Alex asked, his voice a mix of awe and confusion. He couldn't explain what had just happened, but he knew it wasn't normal. Nothing about this situation was normal. The alien mother didn't answer directly. Instead, she looked at him, her eyes filled with sorrow and a silent warning. She knew something about her child's abilities, something Alex still didn't understand. But it was clear that these abilities were not a gift. They were a curse. The child's head jerked up suddenly and their eyes locked onto something in the distance. Alex followed their gaze, but there was nothing there. Just the dark, misty landscape. The child's eyes narrowed as if they could see something Alex couldn't. The alien mother stood up quickly, pulling the child close. She looked around nervously, her body tense as if expecting an attack at any moment. Alex could feel the fear radiating off her. "What's wrong?" Alex asked urgently. "What's out there?" The alien mother shook her head, her eyes wide with fear. She didn't speak, but her actions were clear. She was afraid of something or someone that was hunting them. Alex's heart pounded. He had to protect them. He had no idea who or what was after them, but he wasn't going to let anything happen to the child or the mother. They had already been through so much. Suddenly, the ground beneath their feet shook and a deep rumbling noise filled the air. It was distant at first, but it grew louder and closer with every passing second. Something huge was coming. The alien mother didn't wait for Alex to react. She grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the ancient tree. There was something about this tree, it felt like it was alive, as if it could protect them. Alex glanced at her, understanding. They had to get inside. He followed her, feeling a strange sense of urgency. The rumbling grew louder and Alex's breath caught in his throat. Whatever was coming, it wasn't friendly. They had no time to lose. With one final glance at the approaching danger, Alex ran toward the tree. The alien mother and child followed closely behind, and together, they disappeared into the shadows of the ancient tree, hoping it would offer the protection they so desperately needed. The air was thick with tension as Alex crouched beside the ancient tree, his heart racing. The ground beneath him trembled as distant footsteps echoed in the mist, growing louder with every passing second. The alien mother clutched her child tightly, her eyes scanning the dark surroundings, searching for any sign of danger. Alex could feel her fear, and it sent a cold chill down his spine. He glanced over at the child, who was now glowing faintly again, but the light was dimmer this time. The child looked exhausted, their small body trembling from the strain of whatever power they had used earlier. Alex didn't understand what was happening, but he knew that whatever it was, it had drawn the attention of something dangerous. The rumbling sound grew louder, and Alex's hand instinctively reached for the small, old gun he'd taken from the wrecked ship. It wasn't much, but it was all he had. His fingers tightened around the cold metal, his mind racing with thoughts of what to do next. He had no plan, no backup, just the instinct to protect. The alien mother's eyes met his for a moment, a silent plea in them. She didn't speak, but Alex could see the desperation in her gaze. She didn't want to run, but she knew they had no choice. Something was closing in on them. Something they couldn't face head-on. And then, it appeared. Out of the mist, dark shapes emerged, moving quickly and silently. Alex squinted, trying to make them out in the dim light. They were large, twice the size of humans, and their bodies were covered in dark spiked armor that glinted in the pale light. Their faces were hidden behind strange, featureless helmets. They moved in perfect formation, like hunters on a mission. Alex's breath caught in his throat. These weren't just random creatures. These were soldiers, dangerous, well-trained warriors. They had come for the child, and they wouldn't stop until they had them. "Stay down," Alex whispered urgently to the alien mother. "I'll hold them off as long as I can. You need to get the child out of here." But the alien mother didn't move. Instead, she shook her head, her face set in determination. She wasn't going to leave him behind. Alex could see that now. She wasn't just a mother protecting her child. She was a warrior in her own right. With a swift motion, she reached into her tattered clothes and pulled out something small and shiny. It was a weapon, but unlike anything Alex had ever seen. It was smooth, glowing with an inner light, and when she held it, it hummed softly as if it were alive. She looked at Alex one last time, her expression serious. She was ready to fight. Before Alex could say anything, the alien mother stepped forward, pulling her child with her. She stood tall, facing the approaching soldiers. Alex's heart pounded in his chest as he watched her, unsure of what was going to happen next. And then, without warning, the alien mother raised her weapon and pointed it at the soldiers. A brilliant beam of light shot out, striking the lead soldier directly in the chest. The impact sent him flying backward, crashing into the ground with a heavy thud. The others hesitated for only a moment before charging forward, more determined than ever. Alex didn't waste any time. He raised his gun and fired, his aim steady as he took down one of the soldiers. But it wasn't enough. They kept coming, swarming toward him and the alien mother like a pack of wild animals. "Get back!" Alex shouted, firing again, but the soldiers were relentless. He could see the alien mother fighting fiercely, her weapon flashing with energy as she defended herself and her child. The child, though weak, stood beside her, watching everything with wide, frightened eyes. Alex felt the heat of the battle building, his mind racing for a solution. He couldn't hold them off forever. The soldiers were too many, and the alien mother was already exhausted from the earlier energy burst. They were running out of time. Suddenly, Alex had an idea. "Follow me," he shouted, turning and running toward a narrow gap between two large rocks. It was the only escape route he could see. The alien mother hesitated for only a moment before nodding and following him, pulling her child along with her. Alex could hear the soldiers closing in, their footsteps echoing louder and louder as they gave chase. The gap between the rocks was narrow, barely wide enough for them to squeeze through. Alex pushed ahead, forcing himself into the tight space, his heart pounding as he heard the soldiers shout orders behind him. "Hurry," Alex called over his shoulder, urging the alien mother and child to move faster. They were close now, so close that Alex could feel the soldier's breath on his back. Just as they reached the other side of the gap, a loud crash sounded behind them. Alex turned just in time to see one of the soldiers' weapons slamming into the rocks, sending a cloud of dust into the air. "Go, go, go!" Alex shouted, pushing them forward, his pulse racing. He didn't look back as they ran, his only focus on getting them to safety. They sprinted through the dense forest, the sound of the soldiers' pursuit growing fainter as they ran deeper into the unknown wilderness. But Alex didn't stop. He couldn't. Not until they were safe. After what felt like an eternity, they finally slowed to a stop, breathing heavily as they caught their breath. Alex glanced around, trying to get his bearings. They had lost the soldiers, for now. The alien mother and child stood beside him, their faces tense and full of fear, but also gratitude. They had survived the chase, but Alex knew it wasn't over. The soldiers would come again, and next time they might not be so lucky. "We can't stay here," Alex said, his voice low but firm. "We need to keep moving. They'll find us if we don't." The alien mother nodded, her eyes filled with a mixture of trust and determination. She understood. The battle wasn't over, but for now they had survived, and that was enough. The mist seemed to thicken as Alex, the alien mother, and her child pushed forward through the dense alien forest. Every step they took felt like they were walking deeper into an unknown world, one filled with dangers and secrets. The distant sounds of pursuit had faded, but Alex knew it was only a matter of time before the soldiers found them again. "Stay close," Alex whispered, glancing back at the alien mother and child. The child had grown quiet, no longer glowing with power. They looked exhausted, their small face pale and strained. The mother, however, moved with purpose, her eyes scanning the surroundings with a sharp intensity. They continued through the forest, every tree and rock feeling more like an obstacle than a sanctuary. The silence of the place was unsettling, and Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. His hand gripped the hilt of his gun, even though he knew it was useless against the strange forces that seemed to be after them. The soldiers weren't their only problem. After what felt like hours, the alien mother suddenly stopped. Her eyes narrowed as she turned toward a towering rock formation up ahead. Alex followed her gaze and saw nothing out of the ordinary, just more rocks shrouded in mist. But then he noticed something different. A faint glowing light shimmered around one of the rocks, almost hidden beneath the vines and moss. The alien mother stepped forward, her movements cautious but confident. "This way," she said in a soft, melodic voice, her words strange but somehow understandable to Alex. She led them toward the glowing rock, her steps sure and steady. As they neared, the ground beneath their feet seemed to hum with energy. The rock shifted slightly, revealing a hidden entrance, an opening large enough for them to slip through. Alex's heart raced as he followed her inside. The entrance opened into a vast underground chamber, dimly lit by strange crystals embedded in the walls. The air inside felt cooler, almost soothing, and the ground was covered in soft, moss-like material that made no sound as they walked. The alien mother lowered her child to the ground, gently resting them against the wall. The child immediately curled up, eyes half closed, exhaustion finally taking over. Alex took a deep breath, his eyes scanning the room. The place felt ancient, untouched by time, as if it had been hidden away for centuries. Strange symbols were carved into the walls, glowing softly in the dim light. They were unlike anything Alex had ever seen, swirling patterns that seemed to pulse with a life of their own. "What is this place?" Alex asked, his voice hushed in awe. The alien mother didn't answer right away. She seemed to be considering something, her eyes flicking between the symbols on the walls and the child. Finally she spoke, her voice calm but tinged with sorrow. "This is the sanctuary of my people," she said. "A place of safety. A place where we were once free. But that was long ago." Alex stepped closer to the glowing symbols, feeling a strange pull as he gazed at them. There was something in these markings, something familiar, though he couldn't quite put his finger on it. His mind raced with questions. Who were these people? What had happened to them? And why were the soldiers after them? "What happened to your people?" Alex asked softly, not wanting to push her too much but needing to understand. The alien mother's eyes softened as she looked at her child, who was now sleeping soundly, their tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. "We were once powerful," she began, her voice distant as though remembering a time long past. "Our civilization thrived across many worlds. We held knowledge of energy, of life, of the stars themselves. But we were hunted. The child, she is the last of us." Alex's heart sank as he listened to her words. The child was more than just an innocent being. She was the key to something far greater than Alex could have imagined. But what? And why did it make her such a target? The alien mother continued, her voice growing quieter. "Her power. It is the last remnant of our people's greatness. But it is also a curse. Those who want to control her, to use her power, will stop at nothing to take her." Alex felt the weight of her words. He had thought the child's abilities were just something strange, something alien. But now he realized the truth. They were the reason for the danger. The child wasn't just being hunted because of who she was. She was being hunted because of what she could do. A sudden noise from behind startled them both. Alex spun around, his hand flying to the grip of his gun. But there was nothing. No soldiers, no enemies, just the soft hum of the crystals and the distant sound of the wind outside. The alien mother's eyes flicked to the entrance, her expression tense. "We are safe for now," she said, her voice low. "But we cannot stay here long. The soldiers will search for us. They know this place exists." Alex nodded, understanding the urgency in her tone. They had to keep moving. But for the first time since the crash, Alex felt a flicker of hope. They had found a place to hide, a place to rest, even if it was just for a while. He glanced back at the child, who was now sleeping peacefully, unaware of the dangers that still loomed. "Do you have any idea where we can go next?" Alex asked. "What's the next step?" The alien mother didn't answer immediately. Instead, she looked around the chamber, her eyes lingering on the glowing symbols. She seemed deep in thought, as if searching for an answer only she knew. Finally, she spoke again. "There is another sanctuary, a place where the last of my people hid, but it is far. We must travel across dangerous lands, through treacherous waters. The soldiers will follow." Alex's heart sank. Another journey, another fight, but he had no choice. They couldn't stay in one place forever. He had made a promise to protect them, and he would keep it, no matter the cost. "Then we'll go," Alex said, determination in his voice. "We'll get there. I'll keep you safe." The alien mother nodded, her gaze softening with something that almost looked like trust. "Thank you," she said quietly. "You don't know how much that means to us." Alex didn't respond. He didn't need to. The journey ahead was dangerous, and there was no telling what awaited them. But one thing was certain. He wasn't alone anymore. They were a team now, and together, they would face whatever came next. The sanctuary was quiet now, the only sounds the soft hum of the crystals in the walls and the distant wind rustling outside. Alex sat on the ground, leaning against a large stone that seemed to pulse with energy. The alien mother had placed her child back to sleep, their small body curled up in a corner. The child's breathing was steady, but their face remained tense, as though nightmares still haunted them, even in rest. Alex couldn't stop thinking about everything he had learned so far. The child was no ordinary being. The power they carried was not just a strange gift, it was the last hope of an entire civilization. The alien mother's people, once proud and powerful, were now nearly extinct, hunted by those who wanted to control that very power. The child was the key to everything, and Alex had become their protector. But what did all of this mean? Why was the child so special? And what was the true nature of the power she possessed? As these thoughts swirled in his mind, the alien mother approached him quietly. She knelt beside him, her expression serious. Alex looked up at her, sensing that something important was about to happen. "You still have many questions?" the alien mother said softly, her voice calm but heavy with the weight of her knowledge. "I can answer some of them, but not all." Alex nodded, his heart pounding with a mixture of curiosity and fear. He had to know more. They couldn't keep running forever. They had to understand what they were up against and what this child's power truly meant. "The child," Alex began, his voice steady but unsure. "What is her power? Why do they want her?" The alien mother sighed, her eyes distant as though she were remembering something long buried. "Her power is not just a weapon. It is the last trace of an ancient force that our people harnessed. It is the energy of life itself, of creation. My people called it the source. We could shape it, control it, but we never fully understood it." Alex's brow furrowed. "The source? What does that mean?" "The source is the heart of all life," the alien mother explained, her voice growing softer, almost reverent. "It is the energy that connects all living things across the universe. My people discovered it long ago, and we learned to use it. We could heal, create, and even manipulate the fabric of reality itself. But our power was dangerous. It could be used for great good or great destruction." Alex felt a shiver run down his spine. This was more than just some random alien power. This was something ancient, something far beyond anything he had ever encountered. And the child? What does she have to do with this source? The alien mother's eyes softened as she looked at her child, who was still sleeping soundly. "She is the last vessel of the source. When she was born, we knew she would carry the power of our people. But what we did not know was that her power would be so uncontrollable." Alex's mind raced. "You're saying the child has the ability to shape reality, to control life?" The alien mother nodded. "Yes, but it is not as simple as that. The power she holds is raw, unrefined. It can heal, but it can also destroy. It is a force beyond our understanding. When my people first discovered it, we were blinded by the possibilities. We tried to control it, to use it for our own purposes. That was our mistake." Alex swallowed hard. This was bigger than anything he could have imagined. The soldiers who were hunting them, were they after this power, this source? The alien mother's people hadn't just been destroyed. They had been destroyed because of their own power. And now the child was the last one left to carry that legacy. But why would they want the child? Alex asked, his voice full of concern. What will they do with her power? They will use her, the alien mother said, her voice tight with fear. Those soldiers are not just mercenaries. They are part of a greater force, a faction that seeks to control the source and use it to bend the universe to their will. If they capture her, they will unlock the full potential of the source, and with it, they could dominate everything. Alex's stomach tightened. This was far worse than he had thought. The child wasn't just being hunted for her abilities. She was the key to something that could change the universe itself. If the wrong hands got control of her power, there was no telling what kind of destruction they could cause. Is there any way to stop them? Alex asked, his voice low and determined. If they're after her, we need to protect her. We can't let them win. The alien mother's eyes glowed faintly, her expression hardening. There is a way, but it is not simple. The source can only be controlled by those who truly understand it. My people tried to harness it, but we failed. The only ones who can truly control it are the ones who are born with it. Like her. She paused as though considering something important. There is one place. A temple hidden deep in the heart of the ancient lands where the source was first discovered. It is there that the child can unlock her true potential, and it is there that she can learn to control the power, if she can survive the trials. Alex's mind raced. The temple, it sounded like their only hope. But he could see the fear in the alien mother's eyes. This wasn't going to be easy. The trials would be dangerous. The child would have to face something far beyond what Alex could comprehend. Then that's where we'll go, Alex said firmly. We'll get her there. We'll keep her safe. The alien mother gave him a look of gratitude, but also a deep sadness. I wish it were that simple. The trials are not just physical. They are mental and emotional. The child must face her greatest fears and confront the darkness within herself. Only then will she be able to control the source. Alex nodded, his resolve hardening. The journey was far from over. They had to keep moving. They had to get to the temple, and Alex would protect them every step of the way. But he knew one thing for certain. This wasn't just about survival anymore. This was about preventing the destruction of everything they knew. The journey to the temple was long, and every day felt like a race against time. The land around them grew more desolate as they moved deeper into the heart of the ancient world. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and the landscape seemed to twist and change with every step. Alex kept a watchful eye on their surroundings, but the alien mother and child were always several steps ahead of him. It was as if they had been here before, as if they knew this land better than Alex ever could. The child had not spoken much since their conversation in the sanctuary. They seemed to be lost in their own thoughts, their eyes distant. The power within them was a heavy burden, one that Alex could feel even when they were silent. The child was not just carrying the hope of an entire species. They were carrying a force that could reshape the very fabric of reality. The alien mother, however, was a different story. She had become more determined as they moved closer to the temple. Her focus never wavered. Alex could see that she had made peace with their journey, but he could also see the weight of what was to come in her eyes. She knew the risks. She knew what was at stake. "Are we close?" Alex asked, breaking the silence that had settled over them. They had been traveling for what felt like days without rest. The alien mother nodded, her expression unwavering. "The temple is not far," she said, her voice steady. "But the trials will begin as soon as we enter. We must be prepared." Alex's heart skipped a beat. The trials. He had heard about them, spoken of in hushed tones, a part of the temple's ancient history. They were said to test more than just physical strength. The trials were meant to test the heart and mind, to force the one seeking the source to face their deepest fears and darkest memories. Only those who passed could unlock the full power of the source. As they neared the temple, a strange energy filled the air. The ground beneath their feet hummed with a low, rhythmic vibration. The temple itself appeared out of the mist, its massive stone structure rising like a forgotten mountain. The walls were covered in ancient runes, glowing faintly as if they held secrets beyond time. The entrance was narrow, almost as if it were waiting for them to approach. "We are here," the alien mother said quietly, her gaze fixed on the entrance. The child stood beside her, their small hands trembling slightly. Alex took a deep breath. The moment had arrived. Everything had led to this point. He couldn't help but wonder if they were truly ready for what lay ahead. Without another word, the alien mother stepped forward, entering the temple with the child at her side. Alex followed closely behind, his senses alert to every change in the air. The inside of the temple was even more mysterious than the outside. The walls were lined with smooth, cold stone, and the dim light from the runes seemed to guide their way deeper into the heart of the temple. As they moved further in, the air grew colder, and the faint sound of whispering voices echoed in the distance. Alex couldn't understand the words, but they sounded like warnings or perhaps calls for help. He shook the thought away. It was just his mind playing tricks on him. The alien mother stopped suddenly, her hand held out to stop Alex and the child. She turned to face them, her expression grave. "This is where it begins," she said. "The trials will test the child's strength, her heart, and her ability to control the source. The path will not be easy." Alex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He had been with them through so much, but this was something else. He wasn't sure if the child could survive what was to come. Could anyone? The alien mother's eyes softened as she glanced at Alex. "You must stay behind," she said quietly. "You cannot help her through the trials. She must face them alone." Alex felt a rush of panic. "But I can't just leave you both here. What if something happens? What if—" The alien mother held up her hand, silencing him. "She must do this alone. It is the only way. It is the only way for her to control the source. You cannot protect her in this place. This is her destiny." Alex's chest tightened with fear and uncertainty. The child was so small, so fragile. How could they expect her to face such a challenge alone? The child, sensing Alex's hesitation, looked up at him. Their eyes, large and glowing with an inner light, held his gaze for a long moment. And then slowly the child nodded. "I can do this," they said, their voice soft but determined. For the first time in a long while, Alex felt a strange sense of peace. The child was not just a helpless being. She was strong. She had to be. This was her fight, her journey. With a deep breath, Alex stepped back, allowing the alien mother and child to enter the chamber ahead. The child hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward, disappearing into the depths of the temple. The silence that followed was deafening. Alex stood at the entrance of the chamber, his heart pounding in his chest. He could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him, and for the first time, he understood the true cost of what they were doing. He could hear the faint sound of the child's voice echoing from within the temple. A soft melodic hum filled the air, and the runes on the walls seemed to glow brighter with each passing second. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the temple, followed by a series of high-pitched shrieks. Alex's heart skipped a beat. The child was in danger. He couldn't just stand here, but the alien mother's words echoed in his mind. She must face this alone. And so, he stood there, helpless, waiting, hoping that the child could survive the trials that awaited her. Inside the temple, the child stood alone, their body trembling as the trials began. The air around them seemed to shift and the walls seemed to close in, but the child was not afraid. This was their destiny and they would face whatever came next. And somewhere in the quiet stillness of the temple, Alex knew the moment of truth had arrived. The child would either unlock the source or they would be lost to it forever. The temple was quiet, save for the soft echo of footsteps as Alex paced outside the chamber. He couldn't sit still, not after everything they had been through. The silence was deafening, pressing down on him, making the weight of the moment feel even heavier. He could feel the energy of the temple pulsing around him, and it only deepened his sense of urgency. Inside, he knew the child was facing the trials. He could hear distant sounds, faint cries, crashes, and then silence. Every minute felt like an hour. He wanted to burst in, to do something, anything to help. But the alien mother's words echoed in his mind. She must face this alone. Alex clenched his fists, trying to focus. He knew the child had to face her fears alone, but it didn't make it any easier. He had promised to protect her. How could he do that if he couldn't even be there to help her now? The minutes dragged on. It felt like days before he heard a faint sound coming from the chamber. Slow footsteps, tentative at first. Alex's heart leapt into his throat. Was it the child? Was she done with the trials? The door to the chamber creaked open and Alex rushed toward it, his breath catching. There, standing in the doorway, was the alien mother. Her expression was unreadable, but her eyes held something Alex couldn't quite place. Worry? Relief? It was hard to tell. She's coming, the alien mother said, her voice low but steady. Alex stepped forward, his legs almost giving way beneath him. How is she? What happened? The alien mother didn't answer right away. Instead, she glanced behind her, and Alex's breath caught as the child slowly stepped into view. The child's once glowing skin was now dim, the light that had radiated from them completely gone. Their eyes were wide, as though they had seen things no one should ever have to see. The child's small frame trembled, and for a moment Alex thought they might collapse. But they didn't. They stood there, breathing heavily, their expression one of quiet strength yet also of profound sorrow. She made it, the alien mother said, her voice barely a whisper. But at a cost. Alex's chest tightened. He wanted to ask more, to know everything that had happened inside, but before he could speak, the child looked up at him. I did it, they said, their voice soft but firm. I unlocked the source. I can control it now. Alex's heart surged with hope, but then he saw the child's expression. It was as if a part of them had been lost, something irreparable. The weight of their words sank in and Alex's stomach twisted. What happened inside? Alex asked gently, his voice filled with concern. The child hesitated before answering. I had to face everything, all my fears, all my memories, the darkness inside me. They paused, looking down at their hands. The source is powerful, but it's also dangerous. It changes you. I felt everything. The pain of my people's loss, the fear of the soldiers hunting me, the guilt for what my power can do. It was overwhelming. Alex knelt down in front of the child, his heart aching for them. He couldn't imagine what they had gone through. The child wasn't just a vessel of power, they were a survivor, and surviving came at a cost. You're not alone, Alex said softly, reaching out to place a hand on the child's shoulder. "I'm here for you. We're all in this together." The child looked up at him, their eyes filled with a sadness Alex had never seen before. "I know," they whispered. "But now I understand. The source, it's not just a gift. It's a burden. And it will always be with me." For a moment there was silence. Alex wasn't sure what to say. The child had faced unimaginable trials and come through stronger, but at what cost? They had unlocked the power of the source, but it had changed them. Alex could see that now. The child was no longer just an innocent being. They were a force that carried the weight of their people's legacy, their destruction, and their future. "Will you be okay?" Alex asked gently, his voice full of concern. The child nodded slowly. "I will be, but I can't do this alone. I need you, all of you. I need you to help me control it." Alex smiled, a sense of warmth flooding through him. "You're not alone. We'll find a way. We'll stop the soldiers. We'll stop whoever is trying to control you." The alien mother stepped forward, her eyes now filled with pride. "You are not just a child anymore. You have the power to shape the future, to change the course of history. But that power comes with a choice, one that no one can make for you." The child's gaze hardened, a new resolve settling over them. "I know, and I will make that choice. I will fight. I will protect what's left of my people." Alex stood up, his resolve matching the child's. "Then let's do it. Together." The journey had been long, and the trials had taken their toll, but the child had emerged stronger, more determined and more powerful than ever before. Yet as they stood there in the quiet of the temple, Alex couldn't help but wonder about the price of this power. What would it cost them all in the end? But one thing was clear. They couldn't stop now. The soldiers were still out there hunting them. And no matter what it took, Alex would protect the child. They had survived the trials. Now they had to survive what came next.